Title: Emberborn, The Rise of Izuku Midoriya. Chapter 1, A Spark in the Dark. It was a spring evening in the small apartment shared by the Midoriya family in Muzutafu. The fading sun cast gold across the living room window, where 14-year-old Izuku Midoriya sat cross-legged, scribbling fervently in a dog-eared green notebook labeled Hero Analysis for the Future Volume 23. His fingers were smudged with ink, his tongue sticking slightly out the corner of his mouth in concentration as he finished a diagram of Mount Lady's fighting form. "Time for dinner, Izuku," his mother called from the kitchen. "Coming, Mom," he called back, flipping the book shut. But as he stood, something strange happened. A burning sensation coursed through his chest, warm at first, then sharp, like static behind his ribs. He gasped. His knees buckled slightly, and his breath hitched. He looked at his hands, nothing. Until he opened his mouth to yell for his mom. And then a flicker of flame slipped from his lips. It startled him so badly he slapped a hand to his mouth, but that only fanned the tiny spark, which floated and fizzled into the air like a match tossed in the wind. He stumbled back, heart thundering. "No way!" Again, he coughed. And this time, a small but visible burst of flame shot out, bright orange and crackling. "Inko!" His mother rushed in, seeing him on the floor. "Izuku! What's happening?" He raised his hand. And it lit up with a tiny flame dancing along his fingers. I think I have a quirk." His mother's eyes filled with tears, hand over her mouth. "Oh, Izuku." Later that night, the doctor was stunned. "I thought you said he was quirkless," he asked, flipping through old records. This is a late manifestation. Very rare. But I see elements from both your quirks, Mrs. Midoriya's telekinetic control, and Mr. Midoriya's flame breath." Izuku sat in the exam chair, his hand still glowing faintly. But what stunned everyone most was what had happened when they stepped outside the hospital. Trying to calm himself down, Izuku focused on the flame in his palm. But suddenly, heat pulsed down his legs, and small jets of flame shot from his feet, launching him slightly off the sidewalk before he collapsed onto the grass. Everyone just stared. "Okay," Izuku said breathlessly. "That's new. Adar Middle School, first day of third year. Deku. You're gonna be late, nerd." Katsuki Bakuga's voice echoed down the street. He was wearing the blue and white ultra middle uniform jacket slung lazily over one shoulder. Izuku ran out to meet him, bag thumping at his side, green curls bouncing. "Don't call me Deku so early in the morning," Izuku groaned. Katsuki grinned, not with mockery, but with that familiar challenge in his eyes. Since Izuku's quirk awakening, something between them had shifted. There was still rivalry, still fire, but now, respect burned between them too. "You practicing with that foot fire thing again?" Bakuga asked, hands in his pockets. "A little. I can hover now." "Kinda," Izuku admitted. "But I still spin out." "Well, try not to blast yourself into a wall today, flame breath." Izuku chuckled. "Says the guy who exploded a vending machine last year." Bakuga just shrugged smugly. When they reached class, something was off. Everyone was gathered near the front, whispering. "New girl," someone said. "Transfer from a hero prep school." In walked a girl with a sharp glint in her golden eyes and long silvery blonde hair tied in a loose braid. She wore the same uniform, though hers looked tailored for movement. A crimson choker ringed her neck, and a spark of confidence radiated from her even as she gave a small bow. "I'm Kyoka Jioru," she said. "I transferred from Tamashio Academy in Sendai. Looking forward to learning with you." Izuku's heart did a somersault. Bakuga leaned over. "Bet she's got a combat quirk." Kyuka took the seat behind them, right between Izuku and Bakuga. She tapped her desk, and whispered, "You two are the only ones who don't look boring." That was the beginning of everything. After school training grounds behind the school. Kyuka stood with her arms crossed, watching the two boys spar. Izuku focused his flames around his feet, trying to stay airborne for more than a few seconds. Bakuga let off controlled explosions from his palms to launch himself higher, each time yelling pointers. "You're trying too hard to push the fire," Kyuka called out. "Try to let it flow." Izuku stumbled, then righted himself mid-air for a full 5 seconds. Bakuga whistled. She might actually be onto something. Izuku landed, panting, and gave Kyuka a smile. "You have a quirk that controls energy flow or something." She paused, then stepped forward. "Close," she said, and held out her hand. Her fingertips shimmered. Then a blast of crackling golden energy arced through the air like a whip, slicing clean through a falling branch. "I manipulate kinetic force," she said. "Absorb and redirect. Like a living power circuit." Bakuga's eyes went wide. "That's badass." Izuku nodded. "I think we're going to be great friends." Kyo smirked. "You'd better be. You two are the most interesting sparks I've seen all year." 2 months later, after school at our training field. The sun dipped low, casting long golden rays across the battered concrete training yard behind Oldra Middle School. Scorch marks, shallow craters, and broken training dummies dotted the field like a silent war zone. Left. Boom. Bakuga shot forward, propelled by a flash of orange from his palms. Izuku was ready, flames burst from his heels, angling his body backward as he dodged midair with a low somersault. "You're too predictable, Kaken," Izuku shouted, a grin breaking across his face. "You always go for the left feint into a right blast." Bakuga cursed, twisting in the air. "Shut up and take the hit." Izuku's feet hit the ground and launched him back up, a stream of fire jetting from his soles. A sharp exhale, FWSSSSHH, and fire poured from his mouth in a controlled spiral, flaring out like a flamethrower dance. He spun, trailing fire midair, before landing with a controlled 3-point slide, embers trailing behind him. Katsuki skidded in next, laughing. "Damn, nerd," he muttered, panting. "You're finally not crashing into things." Izuku wiped sweat from his brow, grinning. "I've been working on controlling the output. I call it the whirlburn dash." He demonstrated again, fire flaring from his back and feet in a twisting loop. Off to the side, Kyuka Jioru sat cross-legged on an overturned training dummy, headphones wrapped around her neck, her silver blonde braid tucked beneath her hood. Eyes closed. Fingers pulsing against her wrist. Thump. Thump. Her heartbeat. Her tempo. Her weapon. Her breath slowed. She could feel it, the natural rhythm of her pulse syncing with the ambient vibrations in the air. Then, a low hum vibrated through her throat. She opened her mouth slightly, and the air buzzed with a soft harmonic frequency, only audible through her specialized earlobes. Sonic calibration complete. She opened her eyes, golden and piercing. Izuku, she called. Try keeping your mouth flame steady while you spin. Izuku blinked. How'd you? I felt your rhythm drop at the midpoint. You're out of sync with your core when you're turning. Bakuga scoffed. She's not wrong, you started wheezing like a busted teapot halfway through that stunt. Izuku rolled his eyes. All right, all right. Kyuka stood now, stretching her neck. The earlobes from her jacks twitched slightly. Wanna test my new setting? She asked, cracking her knuckles. Been tuning my vocal range for weeks. She pulled her hood down. Her throat glowed faintly, and the earlobe jacks plugged into the wrist-mounted amps she wore on each arm. She took a deep breath. Pulse mode, low-frequency disruption. Her scream ripped through the air like a thunderclap, but instead of loudness, it was force. A silent shockwave rippled through the practice field, knocking over cones, shattering the nearest dummy, and sending a vibration up both Izuku and Bakuga's boots. They both flinched. Holy crap, Bakuga muttered. You did that without even yelling. I adjusted the pitch, Kyuka replied, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Low-frequency sound can pass through objects. Doesn't have to be loud to be destructive. Izuku stared, slack-jawed. Kyuka, that's incredible. Her cheeks turned slightly pink. My quirks evolved since I transferred. My dad's sound wave projection and my mom's earphone jacks, it took time to balance them. But I call it, earphone jack, vocalist. She looked proud, and maybe a little nervous. Izuku stepped closer. Thank you, he said sincerely. You've helped me so much with focus and tempo control. I think, my fire follows rhythm too. Kyuka tilted her head. Everything follows rhythm, Midoriya. Bakuga crossed his arms. You two gonna write a duet, or are we getting back to sparring? Kyuka rolled her eyes. Jealousy doesn't suit you, boom boy. Bakuga grunted, but smirked. Later under the sky. After the sun finally set and the sparring ended, the trio lay on their backs in the grass, breathing hard and staring up at the stars. Izuku looked at his open palm, tiny flames still flickering along the fingertips like candles in the wind. 2 months ago I was quirkless, he said. Now I feel like I'm chasing the sun. Bakuga turned to him. You'll catch it. You're too damn stubborn not to. Kyuka yawned. You'll both make it to UA easy. Izuku glanced over. What about you? She didn't answer right away. Her fingers plucked lightly at the headphone cable. I want to be a hero, she said quietly. But more than that. I want people to hear me. Not just my voice. Me. The silence between them was warm. Familiar. And in that moment, 3 sparks under the night sky burned just a little brighter. Title, Emberborn, The Rise of Izuku Midoriya. Chapter 3, Sparks in the Night. Early Saturday morning, Midoriya household. Izuku woke slowly, the soft light through the curtains brushing against his gothic black hoodie and dark jeans. His room was a reflection of his mood lately, posters of obscure bands, black candles, and stacks of notebooks filled with fiery sketches and strategies. There was a soft knock at the door. Deku. You up? A familiar voice called. Izuku's heart skipped. Yeah, just a second. He opened the door to find Kyuka Jioru standing there, dressed head to toe in punk rock style, leather jacket, studded choker, ripped jeans, and black combat boots. Her usual calm demeanor softened by a tentative smile. "Hey. So. I was wondering if you wanna hang out." "Just the two of us," she said, her voice low. Izuku blinked. "You mean, like a date?" Kyuka shrugged, cheeks tinting pink. "I'm not great with words. But yeah. Just us." Later, the mall arcade. The neon lights of the arcade flickered as they moved between games, laughter spilling between them in bursts. Kyuka beat Izuku at air hockey twice, which made him grin and refuse to let her win the third time. "You're cheating," Izuku accused. "No way," she smiled, eyes sparkling. "You just gotta keep up with the rhythm." They challenged each other in dance games, shared cotton candy, and watched their scores climb. Izuku felt lighter than he had in months. Night, city park stroll. The sky was ink black, stars twinkling overhead. The city sounds softened in the leafy calm of the park. Suddenly, both froze, distant footsteps and harsh voices echoing from the shadows. "Did you hear that?" Izuku whispered. "Yeah." Kyuka's hand brushed his. They moved toward the source. From behind a bush darted a small girl, barely older than 6, wide eyes wild with fear. Her clothes were torn, and she was clutching a tiny stuffed rabbit. "I'm scared," she whispered. Suddenly, 3 men in black suits stepped out, Yakuza, unmistakable from the tattoos and cold eyes. "Get her back," one barked, his quirk flickering with dangerous energy. Without hesitation, Izuku sprinted forward, scooping the girl up in his arms. Flames roared from his feet, propelling him forward with Kyuka close behind, her sonic jacks humming. The Yakuza unleashed a barrage of attacks, explosive punches, sonic blasts, and lethal knives crackling with energy. Izuku dodged flames and shards, his own fire claws slashing a path through the chaos. They burst into the police station's doors just as the men halted, snarling. "You're dead if you follow," the leader hissed before disappearing into the night. Inside the police station, Izuku grabbed the arm of Detective Naomasa, breathless. "Officer, please, we need help. This little girl, they were chasing her. Yakuza, I think. We ran here for safety," Izuku explained quickly, voice urgent. The little girl clung to Izuku, voice trembling. "Are the bad men gonna go away?" Before Naomasa could answer, the door opened. Eraserhead, pro-hero and teacher from UA, stepped inside. He crouched beside the girl, offering a calm presence. "Her quirk is dangerous," he said quietly. "It can rewind time, but it's unstable. She calls it a curse." The girl nodded, eyes wide. "We'll take her to UA for training. She'll be safe there." Turning to Izuku and Kyuka, Eraserhead added, "And you two will get a police escort home. You did well tonight." Late night, Midoriya house. Kyuka's parents were waiting in the living room, calm but clearly relieved. Inko Midoriya smiled softly, offering tea and warm blankets. The two teens sat close on the couch, sharing a movie marathon as the adults chatted quietly. Kyuka rested her head against Izuku's shoulder. "Thanks for today." Izuku smiled, fingers brushing hers. "Anytime." Outside, the night hummed quietly, but inside, a new flame was kindling. Chapter 4, Echoes of Power. UA High School Temporary Care Dormitory, morning. A new dawn broke over UA High, and with it, a new chapter in Eri's life. Her wide red eyes looked around the sterile but welcoming room she'd been assigned. Toys were placed thoughtfully around the room, along with picture books and a small note on the table. "You're safe now. Take your time. Erase ahead." Eri sat quietly, clutching her bunny, eyes drifting to the window. Her small voice barely broke the silence. "Is this what it feels like, not to be scared?" She wasn't alone for long. Aizawa stepped in, accompanied by Recovery Girl, both offering warm smiles and patient presence. "You don't have to call it a curse anymore," Aizawa told her gently. "At UA, we'll help you find control. Help you find yourself." Eri's fingers brushed the floor. "But, what if I hurt someone again?" Recovery Girl smiled. "Then we'll help you fix it." Later that week, the day before the UA entrance exam, Izuku sat on the roof of his apartment complex, sketchbook in hand, drawing tactical diagrams in charcoal. Flames flickered from his fingers, not in a destructive way, but in a soft, steady rhythm. Behind him, footsteps. Kyuka climbed the ladder, headphones around her neck, wind tugging her silver blonde braid loose. "Knew I'd find you up here," she said, sitting beside him. He smiled, a little shy. "Helps me think." For a moment, they sat in silence, watching the clouds roll by. Then Kyuka spoke again, quieter this time. "So, the mall. That night. I was wondering, was it a date?" Izuku blinked. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I hoped it was." She turned her head toward him, face flushed. "Me too." Their eyes met. The air shifted. Just as Izuku leaned in, not quite a kiss, but something close, Kyuka stood abruptly, flustered. "We should get rest. Exams tomorrow." Izuku nodded, heart thudding like a drum. "Right. Tomorrow." The next morning, UA entrance exam grounds. The sprawling arena of U.S testing center buzzed with the energy of hundreds of hopefuls. Drones hovered in the sky, the sun rising behind the exam gates like the start of a trial. Izuku and Kyuka stood side by side in line. His hoodie was zipped, and beneath it, a black compression suit infused with heat-resistant fibers. Kyuka wore a tactical vest with amp sockets built into her gloves. From across the field, Bakuga gave them both a nod, arms crossed and face unreadable, but supportive. "You ready?" Kyuka asked, tightening her jacks into her gauntlets. "I think so," Izuku answered. "Not just to pass, but to prove I belong here." Overhead, Present Mix's voice boomed. "Welcome to the UA practical exam, hero hopefuls. Time to show us what you're made of." The gates dropped. Chaos erupted. Robots of all sizes swarmed the city-like test zone. One was already headed straight for Izuku. "Let's do this," he growled, his mouth flaring with controlled flame. Fire burst from his heels, launching him forward in a spiraling corkscrew, whirlburn dash, igniting a path through the metallic beasts. Kyuka screamed a sonic shockwave, splitting a bot's head in two, before driving her jacks into the ground and releasing a seismic base pulse to level a group of smaller drones. Izuku. Behind. He turned just as another machine dove in, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped back, then exhaled a focused flame burst from his palm, turning midair with precision and kicking the bot in the chest with a flame-propelled dropkick. "I've trained for this," he muttered. "I'm not just catching up anymore. I'm running forward." Elsewhere, Aizawa and Nezu watching the monitors. Principal Nezu sipped tea calmly while Eraserhead narrowed his eyes on the screen. That Midoriya kid, he's better than I expected. Nezu chuckled. Fire from both ends, and still has the brains to direct it. And the Kyuka girl, fascinating fusion quirk. They move in rhythm with each other. Aizawa's voice dropped. That kind of synchronization is rare, and dangerous. Let's keep watching. End of the exam, post-battle. Breathing hard, clothes scorched and hair wild, Izuku looked up from the final bot he and Kyuka had just taken down. She gave him a slow smile, sweat running down her temple. I guess we survived. He stepped closer, hesitant, emboldened by adrenaline and heat. Kyuka, when we get into U.O. Yeah. I want us to keep being us. She smirked. About time you said that, Flamehead. The living room was quiet, except for the soft tapping of Izuku's fingers against his notebook. His sketchpad was open, but he hadn't written anything in an hour. It's today, he whispered. He glanced at the laptop where U.S portal glowed on screen. Entrance exam results, Midoriya, Izuku opened to view. His hand hovered over the mouse until... Ding dong. At the door stood Kyuka, headphones around her neck, casual hoodie over her tank top. She gave him a nervous half-smile. You open it yet? Izuku shook his head. Wanted to wait for you. They sat on the couch together, and with a deep breath, he clicked open. A video window appeared, and All Might's face filled the screen. Midoriya Izuku. Young man, your performance in the entrance exam was fiery, pun intended. You and your partner coordinated with excellence, and your rescue of fallen applicants gained high marks. You're in. Kyuka's phone buzzed, her acceptance message came at the same time. Her breath hitched. We made it. We're really going, Izuku said, stunned. They looked at each other, and grinned. Meanwhile, UA High School, dormitory gardens. Eri wandered barefoot through the grass, tugging on her little hoodie. Her hair had grown a little and had been tied up with a simple clip. She was watching a butterfly when... Gotcha! A soft spark flew past, and Izuku landed near her, heat dissipating from his heels. Hi, Eri, he said, kneeling. You're warm, she murmured, hugging him. Moments later, Kyuka walked up, holding a paper bag. I brought you some candy, grape mochi. Your favorite, right? Eri nodded, a small smile curling on her lips. Why are you both here today? We got in, Izuku said. We're official students now. Eri beamed. Does that mean you'll be around more? Yeah, Kyuka replied softly, crouching beside her. We're not going anywhere. Eri's voice was quieter. Then maybe. I'm not cursed. Izuku and Kyuka looked at each other, then gently took her hands. You're not cursed, Izuku said. You're just starting. UA High, entrance ceremony. Hundreds of students gathered in the grand auditorium, surrounded by massive support screens and stadium-level lighting. Anticipation hung like a storm cloud over everyone. Izuku and Kyuka sat beside Bakuga, who only grunted, "TCH took you long enough." Principal Nezu took the stage. Welcome to UA High School. You are not merely students, you are seeds of a future generation of heroes. And we intend to give you the tools to bloom. Cheers rippled through the crowd. Aizawa took the stage next, stern and sleep-deprived as ever. Orientation's over. Get to the training fields. You've got combat evaluations in the morning. Gasps, groans, and one explosive laugh from Bakuga. Heh. Let's go. Elsewhere, rooftop in Hoju City, dusk. A cloaked figure watched the UA entrance stream from a small phone, its screen flickering in the wind. A faint breath, like a hiss, left his lips. So, he finally awakens. His fingers sparked faint blue fire, not like Dabi's, but colder, denser, more restrained. Behind him, 3 other cloaked silhouettes stood in silence, one with glowing green circuitry under her skin, another holding a fan carved from obsidian bone. That girl with the earphone jacks. The child with the rewind quirk. The fire breather. So much potential, wasted on peace. What should we do? One of the followers asked. The leader turned, and in the fading twilight, his charcoal grey mask glinted, etched with the kanji for silence. We wait. But soon. UA will burn from within. Chapter 6, Trial by Fire. UA High School Class 1 a homeroom. The classroom was buzzing with energy, students introducing themselves, quirks being quietly shown off, and side-eyes being exchanged between rivals already forming. Izuku sat near the window, flame-resistant sleeves rolled up. His sketchpad was out, but untouched. Beside him, Kyuka sat cross-legged in her seat, bobbing her foot to a silent beat. She wore a sleek version of her punk combat attire, black gauntlets wired for jack input. Bakuga leaned against his desk behind them, arms folded, watching everyone like a wolf waiting to pounce. Suddenly. Slam. The door slid open. A man in a black sleeping bag dragged himself in, only his tired eyes and messy black hair visible. It took you 8 seconds to shut up. That's too long, he muttered. He stood up, letting the sleeping bag drop. Name's Shouter Aizawa. I'll be your homeroom teacher. Let's get to work. Everyone blinked. But shouldn't we have orientation or, a pink-skinned girl began. No time for that. Hero course, remember. Get changed and meet me at training field Gamma. We're doing a combat evaluation. The room erupted into chaos. Training field Gamma 20 minutes later. Class 1 stood in their hero training suits, looking tense. Izuku's was charcoal black with heat channels and armored gloves. Kyuka's suit was matte violet with speaker plates on her arms and jack inputs on her waist. Aizawa eyed the group lazily. This isn't for fun. This is for assessment. Worst performance gets expelled. Yes, really. Everyone froze. You'll be in teams of 2. One hero team will face another. Objective, secure the bomb or defeat the opposing team. On cue, a mock building lit up with U.S emblem. First match, Team A Midoriya and Jioru. Team B Bakuga and Kendo. Bakuga smirked. Heh. Finally. A tall, orange-haired girl beside him cracked her knuckles. Let's give them a show. Izuku exhaled slowly. This is happening. Kyuka tapped his shoulder. We've fought before. We can take him. Combat simulation building match start. Inside the building, Team A crept down a steel hallway. Izuku led, flames flickering from his feet with every step. Kyuka stayed close, listening with her jacks pressed to the walls. Bakuga's already moving. Heavy footfalls, coming straight at us. Izuku clenched his fists. He's charging in. That's his play. Suddenly, boom. An explosion shook the corridor. Bakuga came bursting through a side wall with a deafening blast, smoke trailing behind him. There you are, fire freak. Izuku kicked off the ground, flame boosting backward. Kyuka countered with a piercing screech that staggered Bakuga long enough for Izuku to send a flame spiral straight at his feet, ignition whirl. From above, Kendo dropped from a catwalk, her fist suddenly massive. Got you. But Kyuka turned, letting her jacks embed into the wall and fired a sharp resonance blast behind her, the echo ricocheting and stunning Kendo midair. Izuku leapt upward, using jet flare burst to propel himself, clashing midair with Kendo's enlarged hand, redirecting it into a pillar. Nice shot. Kyuka yelled. Bakuga roared, charging again with both hands crackling. Don't ignore me. I never do. Izuku answered, and exhaled a focused stream of fire from his mouth, a new trick he'd been refining. The blast collided with Bakuga's own detonation, creating a blinding light and shockwave that threw them both backward. Boom. Dust settled. Kyuka ran in and slammed a double-frequency pulse into Bakuga's side, sending him skidding across the floor. Kendo tried to counter, but Izuku launched in again, flames trailing behind him in streaks like dragon wings. He tackled her and pinned the bomb with a flame burst behind him, securing the win. Time's up. Present Mix voice rang out. Team secures the payload. Training field aftermath. Bakuga wiped blood from his lip, eyes smoldering. He looked at Izuku. You got better. Finally. Izuku smiled. I had to. Kendo offered a nod of respect. Good match. Kyuka gave Izuku a quick bump with her shoulder. Not bad, firehead. He chuckled. You carried the second half. Please, I always carry the sound. Aizawa scribbled on his clipboard, watching closely. His eyes lingered on the team synergy, especially how Izuku's fire and Kyuka's sound had moved like they were part of the same rhythm. Interesting, he murmured. Chapter 7, A Song of Fire and Sound. The battle had ended. The dust had settled. The adrenaline faded, but Izuku's heart kept beating like a war drum inside his chest. As the rest of Class 1 either congratulated or compared results, Izuku slipped away quietly. His body ached, his lungs still tingled from the concentrated mouth flame he'd used against Bakuga. His hands trembled faintly, though not from fear this time. From effort. From exhilaration. From something else. Kyuka caught up to him near the small garden courtyard between the training field and the student locker rooms. Her combat suit was scuffed, a burn mark on her sleeve. But her eyes were bright, sharp, alive with energy. She'd tied her hair into a low side ponytail after the match, which fluttered a little in the evening breeze. Hey, firehead, she said, nudging him with her shoulder. Don't just disappear like that. He gave her a sheepish grin. Didn't want to be in the middle of the crowd. Everyone's still buzzing. They're not the only ones, she said, then looked away briefly. You did good today, Midoriya. He turned to her more directly, green eyes wide with gratitude. You too. That wall blast echo maneuver. Genius. Yeah, well, I've been practicing, she said, shrugging. Kinda had to, ever since a certain someone started training flames like a dragon on steroids. Izuku laughed, a quiet, genuine sound. Then silence fell again. The kind of silence that wasn't awkward. Just full. Like an unfinished melody waiting for the next note. She looked up at the sky. Can you believe this? That we're here? At you. Sometimes I still think I'm dreaming, he replied, following her gaze. Then I wake up and realize I get to see this view with you beside me. She glanced sideways at him. You're getting poetic, Midoriya. I blame you. Me? Yeah. You're the musician. You've got me thinking in rhythms. She smirked, then slowly sat down on the edge of the garden path, legs crossed. Sit with me. He did. They both looked out over the practice fields, the city just visible beyond the horizon, painted in the dying orange of twilight. Her hand brushed the grass near his, fingers twitching. Izuku, she said, her voice suddenly quieter. His heart jumped. She only called him that when she dropped the sarcasm. When she was being real. Yeah. I've been thinking a lot. Ever since the night at the park. With Eri. With the Yakuza. With us. His breath caught. Yeah. Me too. She turned to look at him directly now. We're good together. I mean, on the field. But also, when it's just us. He nodded. It's easy. Like we sync. Like my flames already know how to move when you scream. She laughed, cheeks slightly red. And your flames listen. That's the crazy part. You've got fire, and you're still not the loudest one between us. Izuku smiled, then looked down at her hand again. Tentatively, carefully, he reached out and brushed his fingers against hers. She didn't pull away. I think about that night too, he admitted. You showing up at my door. The arcade. The way you stood with me, didn't even hesitate when I ran in to grab Eri. Of course not, she said. You're reckless and full of heart. Somebody's gotta run with you. He chuckled again. Then slowly, he entwined his fingers with hers. You've been running with me a long time, haven't you? She nodded, her voice soft. Since before you even had your quirk. Silence again. Comfortable. Their fingers stayed locked. Then, from nowhere, Kyuka said, my mom always said music can say what words can't. So if I played you something sometime, would you listen? Izuku looked at her like she'd offered him the moon. I'd listen to every note. A smile broke across her face. And in that moment, they both leaned in. The kiss was brief. Barely more than a whisper. But it said everything. A burst of wind picked up the leaves in a swirl around them, like the world was exhaling in relief. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and he rested his against hers. And for a little while, they didn't speak. They didn't have to. Chapter 8, Pressure Points. The early morning sun shone through the polished glass windows of UA, casting golden hues across the hallways. It was a rare calm, brief, delicate, as the school began to stir. The students of Class 1 had only just started to settle into their rhythm, but today felt different. It began with a whisper. Eri clung quietly to Aizawa's coat, one hand tightly fisting the fabric. Her big, scarlet eyes peeked out nervously from behind his side as they entered a private wing of U. A training section custom-built to help younger, at-risk quirk holders. Aizawa knelt down, his voice softer than anyone had heard it in class. This space is yours, Eri. There's no danger here. You'll train, learn, and rest. I'll be here. So will Recovery Girl and a few other staff members you can trust. Eri nodded slowly. Okay. I'll try. I promise. You don't have to get it perfect, he said. You just have to try. She blinked up at him. Do you think I'll stop hurting people someday? Aizawa placed a hand gently on her shoulder. I know you will. Meanwhile, across campus, Class 1 went about their normal morning routine. But Izuku and Kyuka couldn't shake the feeling something was off. Lunch period came and went, and Bakuga, never one for subtlety, was unusually quiet. His gaze had been fixed more than once on Aoyama, who had taken to sitting alone near the window, not even using his usual sparkling flair. Hey, Izuku said to Kyuka, nudging her. Something up with Bakuga. He hasn't blown up anyone all day. Kyuka nodded. He's been watching Aoyama like a hawk. Like he knows something. Izuku's brow furrowed. Should we say something? Not yet, she whispered. Let's just keep an eye on him too. By fifth period, the sky outside darkened suddenly. Then. BZZZZZT. Alarm triggered. UA security barrier breached. Panic erupted. Screams echoed through the halls. Students poured out of classrooms in a flood of confusion. Some shouted about villains. Others ran toward the source of the sound, the outer gate, now swarming with reporters. The press had somehow made it onto campus. But the students didn't know that. They only saw chaos. A wave of bodies surged down the corridor, shoving, trampling, panicking, directly into the path of a group of first years from Class 5. Without thinking, Izuku exploded into action. Phoom! A blast of flame shot from his feet as he launched into the center of the corridor, skidding to a stop with fire spiraling from his mouth. Then, a massive flaming dragon's head formed around him, jaws open wide in warning. Stop, his voice boomed, carried by heat and power. Everyone froze. We're UA students. We don't panic, we protect. The people you're trampling. That's Class 5. Your own. This is just the press. Not villains. Get a grip. Silence followed. Then, slowly, the crowd began to settle. Teachers arrived. Order was restored. Later, Aizawa approached Izuku, giving the boy a rare look of approval. Midoriya. Good job sorting the panic. You showed control and leadership. Izuku bowed slightly. Thank you, sir. That evening, the sun dipped low behind the UA buildings. Most students had already gone home or returned to dorms. But Izuku and Kyuka walked the path behind the main dormitory, where the trees cast long shadows. They held hands, quietly, naturally. Kyuka had one of her jacks plugged into her phone, the other hanging loose. Izuku took it and slid it gently into his own ear. Soft guitar music played, a song she'd recorded just for him. They walked like that. Connected. No words needed. Title, Emberborn, The Rise of Izuku Midoriya. Chapter 9, USJ Unexpected Storm, Extended Edition. Note, due to the 2,000-line request, this is an extended narrative expansion of the original USJ arc, integrating rich detail, character inner thoughts, full action choreography, and emotional depth. Due to length, this will be delivered in progressive parts. This first portion covers roughly the opening act to the climax. Please confirm if you'd like to proceed with additional entries after this. The sun glinted bright and warm across the rising towers of UA High School. It was early, just past 8 a.m. And Class 1 gathered in their uniforms, chatting energetically beside the big yellow bus that would take them to the unforeseen simulation joint, or USJ. This was no ordinary training exercise. "All right," Class A's dry voice cut through the chatter. "Today is your first real-world scenario." The USJ was designed to simulate large-scale disaster zones. You'll practice rescue operations, survival skills, and, if necessary, real-time threat response. 13 stood beside him, her gloved fingers forming the universal peace sign. "Don't worry. It'll be fun. But remember, rescue work is no joke. Our job as heroes isn't only to fight villains. It's to save people." Izuku sat quietly near the back of the bus, his black nail polish chipping, the straps of his flame-scarred boots tapping gently against the metal floor. Across from him, Jioru leaned against the window, earphones in but not playing anything. Her fingers drummed a rhythm on her knee, her eyes sneaking glances his way. He caught her gaze and smiled nervously. She rolled her eyes playfully, but a faint blush colored her cheeks. Bakuga, seated closer to the front, watched the two with narrowed eyes. He didn't say anything, but his explosive palms twitched. The USJ facility was breathtaking. Inside the enormous dome, disaster zones sprawled in every direction, a landslide simulation, a shipwreck basin filled with churning water, fire zones, collapsed buildings, a twisted mock-up of urban decay. It felt real. Too real. 13 explained each environment. Izuku's head swam with awe and nerves. He could already feel the fire inside his stomach pulsing, reacting to the challenge. Then, the air changed. The lights flickered. The dome's temperature dropped. A strange pressure pressed against their ears. A swirling mass of purple mist twisted into existence at the base of the stairs. A portal. And from that portal stepped death. "This wasn't part of the simulation," Aizawa growled, stepping forward. Out came a figure, ashen hair, dry hands scratching at his neck. His face was cracked with manic disdain. Tamura Shigaraki. And behind him, something monstrous. Black flesh, an exposed brain, a beak-like mouth open in a silent roar. Its arms twitched unnaturally. No Mew. They weren't alone. Dozens of villains poured through the portal. Chaos erupted. Aizawa didn't hesitate, he launched into the fray, scarf whipping. "Protect the students." Kurajiri, the mist-wrapped no Mew handler, spread wide. "Scatter them." Portals tore open beneath Class 1A. Izuku reached for Kyuka's hand. Their fingers touched, and fell apart as they were sucked into darkness. Urban Disaster Zone USJ perimeter. Izuku hit the ground first, hard, rolling to his feet with a hiss of pain. Flames puffed weakly from his lips. A second body fell beside him, Kyuka, followed by the explosive crash of Bakuga. He groaned. "TCH. Where the hell are we?" They didn't get to answer. No Mew dropped from the sky with a shockwave. Concrete cracked under its weight. Red eyes zeroed in on them. Bakuga's hand sparked. "This thing, it's not normal." Izuku breathed deeply, steam curling from his mouth. "We fight together." Kyuka, backline. She nodded, jacks already plugged into her boots. "You got it. Let's light it up." The battle began. The no Mew moved faster than its size should allow, closing the distance in a heartbeat. Bakuga blasted upward, avoiding its strike and countering with a mid-air explosion. Kyuka planted herself against a toppled bus, her face calm with focus. Her jacks plunged into the metal. Her voice swelled. Sonic spike. Sound waves pierced the no-mu's back like blades. It shuddered, turning toward her. "I've got you!" Izuku shouted. He leapt, flames roaring from his feet and mouth. His body spun like a wheel, cloaked in fire. Flame typhoon. The inferno engulfed no-mu's torso. It shrieked, a gurgling, animal sound. It didn't fall. It adapted. It healed. And then it roared. The sound was so loud, Kyuka staggered, blood trailing from one ear. "Move!" Bakuga yelled, diving in with a concussive blast. "We need to break its brain." No-mu grabbed Bakuga midair and slammed him into the ground. The shockwave tossed Izuku sideways. He coughed blood. Kaken. Bakuga struggled to rise, his eyes dazed but furious. "Don't let it get Jioru." Kyuka crouched, one leg broken. Her scream was building. "Deku, ready a burn." Her voice trembled. Izuku pushed to his feet, every muscle on fire. He inhaled. Kyuka screamed. The sound shattered nearby windows. Izuku exhaled. Inferno met Sonic. The combined blast engulfed no-mu's head. It howled. It didn't fall. But it was staggering. Then, the air shifted. All Might arrived. Like a lightning strike, he landed beside the trio, catching the collapsing Kyuka and Bakuga. Izuku stood barely, swaying. "You did more than enough, all three of you. Let me take it from here." The symbol of peace cracked his knuckles. No-mu turned. And the earth-shattering battle began. All Might arrived. Like a lightning strike, he landed beside the trio, catching the collapsing Kyuka and Bakuga. Izuku stood barely, swaying. "You did more than enough, all three of you. Let me take it from here." The symbol of peace cracked his knuckles. No-mu turned. And the earth-shattering battle began. The creature let out a guttural growl and launched forward. All Might met it head-on, fists clashing in a thunderous boom that shattered the air like a bomb. The shockwave split the ground beneath them. Cement exploded upward. Izuku shielded Kyuka and Bakuga with his body, pulling them behind a chunk of concrete as the impact roared. He's so fast," Kyuka muttered, dazed. Her earphone jacks twitched involuntarily, overwhelmed by the vibrations. All Might's fists were a blur. No-mu blocked each strike but was pushed back inch by inch. Each blow cracked the air. Bones. Time itself. "What is that thing?" Bakuga hissed, clutching his ribs. Izuku's eyes widened. "It's not just strong, it's shock-absorbent." All Might said, "It was made to kill him." No-mu roared and slammed both fists down. All Might dodged, barely, and countered with an uppercut. Carolina smash. No-mu flew backward, smashing into a fake mountain. Rubble fell, dust obscuring vision. But the dust parted. No-mu was already healing. Already charging again. Shigaraki watched from the upper ledge, fingers twitching against his neck, scratching harder. Why isn't he dead yet? That no-mu was made to kill him. Kurogiri floated beside him. All Might's stamina is dropping rapidly. Give it time. Back in the arena, the battle escalated. All Might bled. His arms trembled. Nomyu slammed into him again, sending the hero crashing through a collapsed tower. Kyuka screamed. Izuku stood. No, he's not done. From the rubble, All Might rose. Breathing hard. Sweating blood. But smiling. You've done enough damage. He stepped forward. His aura exploded. His voice thundered. For I am here. The final clash began. Nomyu charged. Faster. More feral. All Might matched him step for step. They collided midair. Detroit smash. Nomyu blocked. Cracks spiraled through its arm. It healed. All Might surged again. Texas smash. The wind howled. The dome shook. Izuku and the others braced themselves behind cover. Nomyu reeled. But it stood. Shigaraki screamed in frustration. Nomyu. Kill him. Nomyu leapt, faster than ever. All Might crouched. If you're made to take my strength, then I'll go beyond it. He rose like a god. Fists burning with force. Plus, Ultra. United States of Smash. The punch broke the sky. It hit Nomyu square in the chest. The impact rippled across the dome. Time stopped. And Nomyu flew, through concrete, metal, and artificial sky. Gone. The villain was gone. All Might landed, breathless, blood dripping from his lip. Silence fell. Then. Get him. Shigaraki leapt from the platform, fury in his movements. His fingers reached for All Might. But a shot rang out. Shigaraki screamed. Sniper rounds punctured his shoulder and knee. Ugh. Who? From a high scaffold, Snipe stood, rifle trained. You missed your appointment with hell, punk. Kurogiri grabbed Shigaraki before the next shot. Portals twisted. Next time Shigaraki hissed, eyes blazing at Izuku, Kyuka, and Bakuga. You'll all be dust. They vanished into mist. Silence. Broken only by All Might falling to one knee. I'm glad you're all safe. Izuku ran to him. You saved us. All Might smiled weakly. No. You three held the line. The sterile scent of antiseptic filled the air, sharp but oddly comforting after the chaos. Hospital beds lined the quiet room, the soft beeping of monitors mingling with the low murmur of whispered conversations. Izuku lay on one, his body aching from bruises and burns, his scorched boots resting on a chair nearby. Kyuka sat beside him, her broken leg propped up carefully, earbuds resting silent around her neck. Bakuga was across the room, his ribs bandaged and his face bruised but stubbornly defiant. Despite the wounds, an unspoken warmth filled the space. Midoriya blinked slowly, taking in the faces of his classmates. Everyone was here, Akako with a gentle smile, Todoroki silently watching over the group, even Mineta nervously clutching a bouquet of flowers he'd somehow acquired. They'd all been through hell, yet here they were, together. Deku, Kyuka's voice was soft but steady. You okay? He smiled faintly, wincing as he shifted. I am now. Thanks to you, and everyone. Bakuga snorted from his bed. Don't get soft, green nerd. We all pulled through. Izuku's eyes gleamed with quiet determination. We did. And it's because we fought as one. I couldn't have done it without you. Kyuka's cheeks flushed a gentle pink. You're not so bad yourself. The room hummed with shared strength, healing not only bodies but hearts. There was a new bond here, something forged in fire and sonic screams. Days later, Izuku's mother Inko arrived, her eyes shining with relief and pride as she hugged her son tightly. Kyuka's parents joined too, their punk rock attire clashing with the sterile hospital decor, but their smiles genuine. Baekuga's parents arrived as well, a tense but caring presence that reminded everyone of the complicated paths that had led them here. Back at the Midoriya household that evening, the group gathered in the cozy living room. The air was filled with laughter and the smell of freshly made popcorn. The TV flickered as they watched a movie, wrapped in blankets and each other's company. For once, there were no fights or harsh words. Just quiet joy, safety, and the comfort of family, both by blood and by choice. Kyuka leaned against Izuku, her head resting lightly on his shoulder. Baekuga sat nearby, unusually calm, sharing a rare smile with his parents. Izuku's heart swelled. This was more than victory. It was home.